And going down the street one day, it was 5 minutes of 5, I remember, and as I went past the door of this very humble kind of place, this lady put her head out and said, "I know who you are, you're the pastor at the tabernacle." I said, "That's right. I've been to the tabernacle. I usually sit at the back. I'm very poor, and I can't have anything to put in your offering." I said, "All right." And she said, you come in my house and have a cup of tea." I said, "No, I'm sorry, it's 5 minutes of 5. And I'm due for tea, as we say in England, or supper at 5 o'clock. "No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. You won't be coming because I'm poor. And it isn't a nice house like some of your folk are." I'll come in. I'll come in." I went in. Kind of a house you go in and hold your nose as you go in, you know. I've been in some pigsties of a house, but never one like that, I'll tell you that. I sat down at the table, and there was just about this much space to get from the door, the front door, and it was all stacked up with books. She bought them at a junk shop down the road. She'd read thousands of them. The table was full. And there was a little space at the sink, and then there was a big sink. It was piled up with dishes. She hadn't had a washing up of dishes, I'm sure, for months. And there's a nice piece of bacon, and it was all green and moldy, you know. A real appetizing kind of thing. What do you call that stuff you get off mold? Penicillin. She'd $50 worth of penicillin on that thing, I'm sure. And she didn't even know. She said, "You do drink tea?" I said, "Yes." She said, "All right." And she had a teapot that had been white once, and it was all messed up on the outside, and she reached in the sink and took a cup out that was all slimy on the outside, and as I looked in, it had tea leaves and some corruption in the bottom. And she just took that black tea and she poured it in that cup. And she said, "Do you take cream?" I said, "Yes, I do." She said, "I don't have any." "Do you take sugar?" "Yeah, I don't have any." You know, as she held, her fingernails were all in mourning. They were covered with dirt, and she held that filthy cup out with that rotten, cold tea, with no sugar, no cream, no anything. And I looked at it, and I guess I shrunk off from it, you know, and she said, "Drink it." You know, as I put my hand out to take that cup, right there, I've never forgotten it, my mind just went 2,000 miles away from England to a place called, at that time, Palestine, and 2,000 years back to this man in the garden when the Father said, "Drink it." Drink it. Well, that's enough to lay us out, surely. He's the essence of purity. He's the essence of holiness. He was harmless and undefiled and separate from sinners, and yet he takes the most horrible thing this world has ever had, symbolic of all the sin of all the ages. You can mention it, all the physical corruption, lesbianism, every lousy, rotten, corrupt thing that sends men to jail, that makes men rot in their bodies. Every vicious thing, the pride and the anger and all the other things, the sins of the flesh, the sins of the spirit, and they're all there, and he took that cup. There was nobody there to sustain him. Except, of course, again, the Father. And the men that he trained were all lying around snoring.